Hi guys, and welcome to part 3. Yes, that's number 3 of the ebooks that I've acquired for the month of February that were free, thankfully, because there's quite a bit. And I am just excited about all of these. I like to watch hauls like this because this is a great way to hear of stuff that's not quite talked about so much on BookTube. So let's go ahead and get into this, because otherwise this video is going to be super duper long, like excessively so. And yeah, so the first one I will talk about in this video is when I got the email that this one was for free. It came up as Black Literature, and that is If She Were Blind. And this is the first book in the After 12 series. Now what's interesting, for whatever reason in the Black Literature, now I've only received like 3 or 4 of these emails so far, so less than a week's worth of, because you get it like every day, but so I received less than a week's worth. But the option for Black Literature, so far it's only come up with 1 book each time for Black Literature, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But I'm definitely glad that that's on there. So again, this is If She Were Blind. It's the first book in the After 12 series. Computer, stop. I should probably stop that. I forget I have that going. The author is Laney Wylde. This has 464 ratings and a average of 4 stars. This is a romance. It's also listed as suspense, chick lit, mystery thriller. So now the image I'm seeing, it's a woman in a red, like a tight little red dress. Instead of a little black dress, it's a little red dress. And she has the weights that are used a lot in legal stuff to symbolize something being even. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the synopsis. It says, not everyone can take justice the traditional way. That's where Estelyn Collins comes in, a young lawyer in Santa Monica. Her legal service, After 12, works outside the courtroom to tip the scales when the justice system has failed for a price. See, now that's interesting. I haven't read anything where the justice system has failed, but I do know it has, because there's a lot of innocent people. I have heard, I shouldn't say that I know, but that there's quite a bit of innocent people. There are people that have committed crimes that should be in jail, but I've also, and it's completely understandable that some people have gotten away with stuff, so there's some that aren't paying the price for what they did, the consequence, and there's some that, for whatever reason, and I've heard actual stories about where they have been proven innocent, and both situations are awful for someone that gets away with the crime that they should be punished for, and people that are innocent that are forced to be incarcerated. It's just awful. Both situations are awful. Anyway, okay, so she's working for the legal system. It says, thanks to her powerful underground networks, Estelyn's success rate is stellar, and her inbox stays filled with inquiries from the desperate and vengeful. But when one of those names is a ghost from her past seeking vengeance against her, she's shaken to her core, off balance and scared to be alone. She makes an impulsive move for a guy. He's a complication she doesn't have time for, but it turns out she may also be an unlikely, if unwilling, asset. Treading the rapidly thinning line between personal and professional, Estelyn pursues her target while outrunning the one on her own back, only to find she may be running into a lot more than she bargained for. So that sounds really good. I look forward to getting to that one. Like, I'm wanting to make that one more of a priority, but I've got a lot that I want to make a priority. So moving on, the second book I will tell you about is called White Pawn. This is the first book in a series called Vampire Court. And so I'm definitely intrigued because of the vampire aspect. This was written by Ingrid Seymour. This one has, oh, did I tell you? So, okay, so If She Were Blind, the one I just talked about previously, I don't know if I said this, 464 ratings, average of a 4-star rating, so it's got pretty good. Okay, so White Pond has 183 ratings with an average rating of 3.95. So definitely not as well known. This one is a young adult paranormal romance with fantasy aspects, it looks like. So, and there is a note saying that these books should be read in order. I would just assume that with any series unless it states otherwise or you're told by someone who's read it. But it does say, so good to know. All right, Bianca is a trove. Her blood is so powerful it allows vampires to stroll in the sunlight. She lives a socialite life of masquerades, governances, and flirting with eligible men like the handsome thief Neroy Stonehelm, who openly defies the vampire king and queen. Soon a visit from the king brings Bianca face to face with a terrible reality. Her father has gambled away everything and still owes the king's court more. To set an example, the king executes her father. That one fateful morning, Bianca loses everything she ever knew. With his last breath, her father confesses she's a trove and begs her to run. Instead, she swears revenge and joins the queen's court, determined to destroy the king one day. But how is a trove to live amongst vampires without being discovered and made a blood slave? And how is her life linked to the handsome thief? So I'm wondering what the heck a trove is. Obviously, I'm not going to know until I read the book, but definitely interested. I love books with vampires in them. All right. Oh, what did I hit there? Let me go back. There we go. Okay, next up, this one, I'm thinking, yep, this is a horror. Now this one, I did not realize, but this is a collection of short stories, and it looks like they were all written by Fred Venturini. So this is not a collection of different authors. It's all by one author. And this is horror. I have read another collection of short stories by one author that was all horror, and that was just okay. So I'm hoping maybe this one I'll enjoy a little bit more. It's just, I think it's just kind of hit and miss with some stuff. And short stories are, sometimes I really like them and sometimes not so much. So, and I don't read them often enough to say for sure, but I say it's like a 50-50 shot right now. Because I read one that I absolutely loved, a collection of short stories I absolutely loved. And there's one that I can think of, and that was like all romance. And I read and it was all clean romance. And I read a collection of horror short stories that was, some of the stories in there I liked, some I didn't. So it probably just also depends on the genre and stuff. Anyway, the title of this book is called A Pound of Flesh. I like that title. This has 65 ratings with an average star rating of 3.71. This one says, now with this being short stories, I don't know if they're all going to be connected. So I'm not going to read, the synopsises can be very kind of long when they're trying to do the synopsis of all of them. So I'll read a little bit here and we'll kind of see how I feel. It says, Harold and Wendy have been through everything together. Married for over 30 years, the parents of 2 loving daughters, their love has survived every test and overcome every challenge so far. A knock at the door unleashes the biggest test yet. An aggressive, depraved evil plunges them into a world where death and separation may be the only mercy available to them. Trapped in the darkness besieged by a madman, Harold's love and loyalty is pushed to the brink. Sometimes love isn't diamonds or gold. It isn't handwritten cards and surprise romantic excursions. Sometimes love is deciding whether to take your wife's teeth out with a pipe wrench or brain her with it. What? And then it just goes how this is a chilling novelette and a collection of short stories and stuff. So, okay, I am definitely interested in that. Pulling out the teeth. Okay. I do like the graphics, so I'm really hoping this is going to be graphic like that, and I will love that. Okay. Up next is Murder in the South of France. This was written by Susan Kiernan-Lewis. This one is book number 1 in the Maggie Newberry Mysteries series. This is actually a cozy mystery with a bit of romance and looks like it takes place in France because France is a tag. This one has 6,028 ratings with an average rating of 3.45. Let's see. Maggie Newberry is sheltered, privileged, but also a whip-smart advertising copywriter who's fast on her feet and a little stunned to realize she's 34 years old and still hasn't found the one. You know, and to that I want to say, I'm nearly 40 and still haven't found the one. So that's nothing to be beefing and complaining about, in my opinion. But when her long missing sister ends up dead in Maggie's trendy Atlanta condo, Maggie finds herself flying to the south of France to find the little niece that up until then no one in the family even knew existed. Along the way, she finds handsome Laurent Drenier, a sexy if nefarious Frenchman who it's not clear is there to help or hinder. I guess it's not clear if he's there to help or hinder Maggie's search for the girl. Meanwhile, her sister's murder sets his sights on the little girl and Maggie. Okay, I get a little nervous when there's errors, and it could just be me reading it funky. But when there's errors in the synopsis, I get a little nervous about how many errors are going to be in the actual book. But again, it could just be me because it's late. I mean, it's 7:06, so it's not too late, but it's like, it's the end of the day. My brain's shutting down, so it could be me just messing up. All right, next up we have Tear Down and Die. This one took me a little bit to figure out if it was Tear Down and Die or Tear Down and Die. It's like, tear doesn't sound right. And then I see the cover here and there's a hammer on it. So it's like, it has to do with construction. It's Tear Down and Die. This is book number 1 in the Cara Mia del Gatto mystery series. And this is another cozy mystery with some romance in it. This was written by Joanna, Campbell, Slan? I don't know. And this one has 1,177 ratings with an average of 4.31. This one says, she began a journey of self-discovery. She never expected to uncover an old boyfriend and a dead body. Stuart, Florida. Or Stuart, Florida. Maybe Florida's the last name. With her parents deceased and her son away at college, Cara Mia del Gatto longs to reinvent herself. And a sentimental purchase of a fixer-upper in a small coastal town seems ideal for a new business selling repurposed relics. But when she trips over a corpse at her run-down building, she flips from renovator to prime suspect. And desperate to clear her name, it shocks Cara to discover that her property once housed a multi-million-dollar art collection stolen after the original owner's death. And when her first love shows up and tugs at her heartstrings, her whirlwind life upgrades to a hurricane. With accusations of murder and theft looming, she's running out of redos. Can Cara crack the case to rebuild her reputation, or will desire to upcycle treasures send her to jail? So, sounds pretty good. All right, next up is Shadows in the Light. It says this is a riveting haunted house mystery. And this was written by Marie Wilkens. Now, this one only has 2 ratings on Goodreads so far. It looks like this one just came out February 8th. And this has an average of 4.5 stars. And I don't know anything about this. Let me see if I can find this on Amazon. Because there is no synopsis on Goodreads. Okay, so Shadows in the Light. This is by, oh, it came right up. Okay, Shadows in the Light. Yes, there's a little synopsis here. It says, Amy's seemingly perfect life is shattered when she discovers the dark truth behind her mother's death. Caught in the middle of a dangerous game of inheritance, she must outwit a wealthy family willing to kill to keep what's theirs. As the truth about her husband's sinister past slowly unravels, Amy realizes she's in a race against time to uncover the truth and survive the deadly game of inheritance. All right. Let's see. Okay, let's go ahead and move right on. I want to keep this rolling. Next up is All Lies. This was written by Andrew Cunningham. There's 1,182 ratings with an average star rating of 4.24. This is number 1 in the Lies series. This one looks mystery-ish. Scroll down. Yes, this is mystery. Also has a little bit of romance in there, it looks like, as that is one of the tags. And it says, I come from a long line of idiots. Okay. All right. Those were the last words his father uttered before dying. And from what he knew of his family tree and the unfortunate end that came to so many of his ancestors, Del Honeycutt couldn't disagree. What he didn't know was that his family held dark secrets, secrets that were about to come crashing down upon him. A seemingly innocent date gone tragically wrong plunges Del into a web of murder, lies, greed, and a hidden fortune dating back to a crime committed 85 years earlier by his great-grandmother. Accompanied by Sabrina, the sister of Del's brutally murdered date, a violent journey of discovery and fear begins. Pursued by vicious killers intent on eliminating anyone with knowledge of the 85-year-old crime, their only hope of survival is to find the reasons behind the original crime and why. Decades later, someone is still willing to keep it hidden. But Sabrina is concealing a monstrous lie of her own. Is she who she says she is? In other words, probably not. She's got some deep, dark secret and tie that's going to really influence things. All right, next up is The Sisters of Kestrel, K-C-A-Y. This is number 1 in Hideaway Isle, written by Kelly Ut. I don't know. 531 ratings, average of 3.39, and this is a mystery thriller, it looks like. This one says, a terrible accident, a sister's betrayal, and the bonds that keep families together against all odds. The last time Margot Calloway saw her sister Lottie, the girl was 12 and clinging to their blood-covered mother over the asphalt in a gas station parking lot. Oh, that's not good. Reeling and in shock, Margot fled her home state of Florida, choosing a path that would take her far away from the pain. She left everything behind, including Lottie. Now, 7 years later, mysterious happenings on the island lead Margot to the realization that she must return home and face the ghosts of their shared past. Will Margot have what it takes to, will they have what it takes to protect each other? So, okay, so that's pretty much all that says. That sounds pretty good, and I'm wondering what happened to the mother at the gas station to make her all bloodied up. So I guess I'll have to read that and find out. Ain't that the way that goes? Next up is called Something Right, written by Evey, Lyon, and this is number 1 in the Blisswood Brothers series. There's 188 ratings with an average rating of 4.18, and this is a romance. I'm trying to see, I don't see if it says if it's closed door, sweet, or steamy. I don't know, and I won't know until I read it. So it says, it wasn't in my plan to take care of my teenage sister, but with our parents now gone, I move back to the town I left 12 years ago to do just that. My sister is full of attitude and doesn't miss the opportunity to remind me that I've traded off my corporate office for small town antics, or that Brooke Rivers, of all women, is living next door with an adorable 3-year-old kid who may just wrap me up around her finger. The kid, I mean. Okay, the mom too. But it's complicated. It involves a weekend way back in a bed Brooke and I never left. The memory of me hurting her, and the moment Brooke got her chance to hurt me too. In her head, she's built a giant wall between us. In my mind, I'm determined to tear it down. And as luck would have it, I need her cookies for the high school bake sale, and she needs my skills at putting together her daughter's new playhouse. Soon we are exchanging favors, and even better, our clothes are ending up on the floor in the process. But she's adamant that there is too much at stake for us. And when a twist of fate hits us unexpectedly, revealing a secret, I am beginning to think that she may be right, or just maybe what she and I have may finally be something right. So, I'm guessing it's going to get pretty steamy from the clothes ending up on the floor, although you never know. Sometimes clothes could drop on the floor and then it's a fade to black type of situation. So, okay, up next is Bitter Haven. This was written by Anne M. Scott, and this one says, I don't see if this one is part of a series. This is a romance, and this one does, oh, it is part of a series because I can see it on the image. It says book 1. This is the Bitterroot, Montana Veterans, and right after the title of Bitter Haven on the Goodreads page, it does say this is a closed-door military veteran romantic suspense in a Montana small town. So closed door, so this will be a clean romance. And this one says, a woman who lost everything in the fires of war. After losing her husband to a bomb in Afghanistan, military veteran Erin Moore runs home to Marcus, Montana. Not the person, looks like it's a city. To keep his memory alive, she follows their dream of opening a classic car garage and coffee shop. But building a successful business is hard. Hiring Ryan Walsh was her best decision so far. He's dedicated, smart, and ridiculously appealing. But acting on her attraction to the much younger man is a huge risk for her business and her battered heart. A man battling the ghosts of the battlefield. After a motor attack took our airman Ryan Walsh's health and high-tech career in one blast, he went home to lick his wounds. Trying to adjust to a civilian life, he drifts through a series of minimum wage jobs. Then Aaron hires him, and his past roars to life, especially his longing for the fiery redhead. But he's too broken for any women, let alone a successful business owner. So this sounds like it's going to be a dual timeline, so that'll be pretty cool. All right, moving on, we have The Last Goodbye. This was written by Kay Lyons, and this is the first book in the Seaside Sisters series that has 690 ratings with an average of 4.34. This is a contemporary romance and looks like this is a fairly short read. It says that the Kindle edition is only 206 pages, so it's fairly short. This one says, did I say the word Ireland in here? I did. Okay. That says, sometimes the pain of life brings a new beginning. Widower Dominic Dunn isn't sure what to think of his wife's pre-planned trip for him a year after her death. It's her effort to force him from his work desk to the coast and the peacefulness she'd found at the Carolina Cove Inn. Innkeeper Ireland Cohen, oh, it's not referring to the country, it's a name. Okay, Innkeeper Ireland Cohen is a single mom with an impressionable son, and after the kid gets himself into trouble, Dominic offers to lend a hand. It's the least he can do when Ireland was such a good friend to his wife after her diagnosis. As the hot summer days at the beach turn into breezy evenings, Ireland and Dominic find their shared memories and friendship turning into more. They're drawn to each other, fighting an attraction neither of them want because of their pasts. He's only visiting, and Ireland has a strict rule about dating tourists. But as his trip draws to a close, they both wonder, is this their last goodbye? It does say there's a book called The Last Goodbye. Oh, wait, no. This is the first book. Oh, never mind that little bit. So, is this their last goodbye? So that does sound good. I just saw 5-book series, and for whatever reason, I saw Last Goodbye and thought, oh, there's a series before this that's called Last Goodbye. My mind just freaked out. So, plain and simple, my mind just freaked out. Moving on, we have Maggie for Hire. This is the first book in the Maggie McKay Magical Tracker series, written by Kate Danley, it looks like. And this one has 5,228 ratings with an average star rating of 3.75. This one is an urban fantasy with paranormal and vampires, and looks like also some fae. It says, warning, this book contains cussing, brawling, and unladylike behavior. Proceed with caution. Okay. All right. Okay. When monsters appear on Earth, Maggie McKay is on the job. No one is better at hauling the creepy crawlies back where they belong. No one, that is, except Maggie's dad, who vanished in the middle of an assignment. Now an elf named Killen, I think, has shown up with a gig. Seems Maggie's uncle teamed up with the forces of Dark to turn Earth into a vampire convenience store, serving bottomless refills on humans. Ah, family. The only hope for survival lies in tracking down 2 magical artifacts and a secret that disappeared with Maggie's dad. So, alright. Sounds intriguing. And I don't know the age category on that. I have no idea. Alright, moving along, we have a book titled Dead Lake. This is written by Miranda Kate. This has 19 ratings on Goodreads with an average of 4.58. And this does not have any tags, so I don't know the genre. It looks like a thriller from the cover. I don't know. So sometimes it plays to be tricky. Damn and blast, that rancid piece of excrement, Carter has had her ransacked out of Clancy. Okay. Tricky returns to her cottage to find it turned upside down, an action that means she's got 3 days to leave the district or face punishment. Randolph Carter, head of the district, is spreading lies and suspicion about her kind, making life difficult. But it wasn't just an ordinary ransacking. They were searching for something. Using her gifts, Tricky traces the energy left by the men and spies another creature's energy among it, a jackdaw. Swift and wily, it's pinched her precious gemstone, a piece of black obsidian, but at whose bidding? Communicating with birds is a rare ability, and she knows all who possess it. Tricky wants her stone back, but coming up against people like Carter won't be easy, especially when he's got one of her kind in his employ. But she'll handle it. Oh yes, she will. She'll just have to be careful and a little bit tricky. Good thing she is then, isn't she? Isn't it? Okay. Adept at working with energy and time, as well as communicating with trees, Tricky is lured into something bigger than ownership of a gemstone and finds out that sometimes it plays to be a little bit tricky. Okay. It says it's a dark paranormal fantasy. And it does say, this is the last line of the synopsis, it says Dead Lake is the first in the series of Tricky's Tales. Okay, up next, I don't particularly care for this cover. But you're not going to like every cover of every book. This one is called Destiny, written by Shannon Pemrick. This is the first book in Experimental Heart series. Has 423 ratings with an average of 3.81. This one says it's fantasy, paranormal, romance, has shapeshifters, supernatural, and dragons. So I'm intrigued by the dragon aspect. I do like books with dragons. Most people could never kill without regrets. I don't have that luxury. I'm an artificial creation who exists solely to follow the orders of a tyrannical maniac. Death is the only constant I know. I want more, so I'm running. What lies beyond the realm of my former master presents a whole new set of problems, including a mistake that lands me at death's door. I accept that. Welcome it, really. For a relic of war, death is my inevitable release. But fate is a fickle creature. When a dragon saves me, a creature said to be long extinct, then offers me a chance at revenge, I don't know what to believe. Trust gets people killed, but something is different about this creature. Okay, so we will see about the dragon. Let's go ahead and move on. Next up is a fantasy romance with fairies, paranormal romance. This one is titled Forever Fae. And this is part of a series by the same name called Forever Fae. So this is the first book in the series. This is written by L.P. Dover. And this one has 2,759 ratings with an average of 3.69. And this one says, he leans down, lips parted, and then our lips connect. We didn't know that this one kiss has forever changed the land of the Fae. According to the prophecy proclaimed many years ago, Princess Callista of the Summer Court is destined to change the land of the Fae from the evil determined to destroy it. Her powers are phenomenal, and she secretly trains for battle with her handsome warrior friend Pemrick, who unbeknownst to her protects her heart as well, in hopes of keeping it for himself, at least until the seductive Prince Ryder attends the guardian ceremony and instantly sends a fire burning through her veins, and a connection so deep they both discover a love above anything imaginable. No one knows how Callista is destined to change the kingdoms, but there is one that does. He not only craves Callista's power, but her body as well, and his goal is to steal her power, make her his dark queen, and take over the land of the Fae. So, alrighty, that sounds pretty interesting. Sounds like that's going to be a bit steamy. So we'll see. Next up is Beneath Burning Sands. This was written by P.R. Adams. It has 269 ratings with an average of 3.63. This is a post-apocalyptic science fiction. And let's see, it says ambitious MBA graduate Reggie Lee thought defense contractor Franz Teresa was a perfect fit for his first job. He couldn't have been more wrong. Teresa, I have no idea how to say that. This person's work on advanced hibernation technology for sleeper colony ships wasn't sexy, but what mattered to Reggie was that he would have an extremely visible role leading to the first team to test the technology in a month-long cryogenic sleep. The proposition was simple. Succeed and humanity had a real chance of finding a new home before Earth's ecosystem completely collapsed. Fail and you don't wake up. For someone who lived on the edge, the upside outweighed the risk. But the world Reggie wakes to is nothing like he expected. Of course it's not. That's usually the way that works, doesn't it? Isn't it? Alright, next in line is called Starshot. This is book number 1 in the Skyward Saga, written by A.R. Knight. This one has 64 ratings with an average of 3.8. And this one just tells me it's a science fiction. That's the only tag. This one says, Kayashi thinks if I'm saying that right, could be way wrong. Kayashi thinks the thing that crashed from the stars is the answer to her prayers. It has other ideas. Caught between warring factions, Kayashi and her tribe face extinction. When a burning meteor lights up the night, Kayashi investigates and finds a voice with awareness, or with answers for everything, with secrets that could let Kayashi save her people. All Kayashi has to do is promise to follow its orders. But all promises have a price. Unknown to Kayashi, a hunter comes from across the stars, seeking to take away Kayashi's newfound hopes. Alright, quit saying the name, just say... just put their pronoun in there. I'm getting tired of saying the name. A living weapon, this creature has one goal: kill what Kayashi found and all who have touched it. So it just says it's a complicated sci-fi series that features mind-bending alien encounters, far future action, devious villains, and a heroine that won't stop fighting. So I'm guessing Kayashi is the heroine. So, but I get tired when it's like, Carl did this, Carl did that, Carl said this, Carl did that, Carl said this. It's like, put the dang pronouns in there. Oh, get tired of that. Anyway. Alright, moving on is The Last Rhino. This is an African wildlife adventure written by David Mark Quigley. I'm going to have to pull this one up on Amazon because there is no synopsis. But on Goodreads, it has 64 ratings with an average of 4.25. So let's pull Amazon up. And what was this one? The Last Rhino? Oh, shoot. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Okay, The Last Rhino. I thought I closed something down that I didn't mean to. By David. There it is. Okay. African series, book number 1. Looks like there's 3 in this series. Okay, the synopsis on Amazon reads, ruthless Anti-poaching maverick Tony Campbell is well established and respected in the world of wildlife conservation. He is just about to take a new anti-poaching role when multiple black rhino carcasses are found, brutally butchered for their valuable horn. I sure hope it does not go into detail with the butchering of the animals. That really bothers me. I don't mind reading about a person being torn limb from limb, but when it comes to animals, I really struggle with that. So, and I think a lot of people are in that same boat. So I'm hoping that's not going to get too graphic. What started out as a routine relocation exercise turns into a frantic military-run mission that will either save the last of the Zambezi rhinos or seal their fate forever. As the soft underbelly of the nefarious poaching world is stripped away by a series of seemingly unrelated events, Campbell will have to risk it all to lure the kingpin into a trap. And he'll have to decide just what price he's willing to pay to uncover and stop the senseless killings. So I like that someone's fighting to stop the senseless killing of an animal. Again, I just hope it is not graphic. I will struggle with that. Let's go ahead and move on and not dwell on that. It says, this title is The Garden on Sunset. This is book number 1 in Hollywood's Garden of Allah, written by Martin Turnbull. This has 2,277 ratings with an average of 3.72. Okay, right before taking pictures, Slug Tinseltown in the Jaw. Wait, what? I am so confused. Right before taking pictures, Slug Tinseltown in the Jaw, a luminous silent screen star, converts her private estate into the Garden of Allah Hotel. I am so confused by that. The lush grounds soon become a haven for Hollywood hopefuls to meet, drink, and revel through the night. That I get. George Cukor is in the pool. Tallulah Bankhead is at the bar, and Scott Fitzgerald is sneaking off to a bungalow with Sheila Graham, while Madame Alla Nazimova keeps watch behind her lace curtains. Okay, that first sentence out of the whole thing I didn't get. Everything else I'm getting so far. But the real story of the Garden of Allah begins with its first few residents, 3 kids on the brink of something big. Marcus Adler has a lot to prove after his father catches him and the police chief's son with their pants down. He flees Pennsylvania for Hollywood with his mouth shut and his eyes open and begins to write the lines all those starlets will say out loud. Can a smart, sensitive guy find his own voice in the town that's just learning to talk? So it sounds like this is going to have LGBT in it. Catherine Macy's childhood was a grinding routine of auditions, but she couldn't care less about being a movie star. When she takes off with her typewriter, determined to become a newspaper reporter, she finds that breaking into the boys' club is tougher than breaking free of her bossy mother. To make it in this town, she'll need some serious moxie, whatever the heck that is. Gwendolyn Brick is a sweet southern beauty who's come a long way to try her luck on the big screen. She's hoping the same succulent lips the guys want to kiss will land her more than a bit part, I think it's supposed to be a big part, on a casting couch. She's going to need some help keeping everyone in line. So possibly some quid pro quo is going to be talked about here. Nobody gets a free pass in Hollywood, but a room at the Garden on Sunset can get your foot in the door. This is a historical fiction. It says it's noir, drama, and crime. So sounds actually pretty interesting. All right, this next one I had to pull up on Amazon because there's no synopsis for this one on Goodreads. I couldn't even get it to pull up on Goodreads to be ready for this video. It just would not pull up. This title is called Veronique's Journey, and this was written by Patty Flynn. This looks to be a historical fiction just based on the cover that I'm seeing on Amazon. This one says, in 18th century France, the choices for a young black woman of modest means are slim. Veronique Claire loves her parents and their small home in the countryside of Burgundy, but dreams of using her talent for sewing and embroidery to make her own way, without having to rely on a man. When Veronique's well-meaning parents find her a suitor of elevated station, their happiness turns into her despair. Veronique must make the difficult choice between agreeing to an arranged marriage with its promise of elevated status in society, or embark upon an unpredictable journey across France and into a world she's never known. For a young woman of honor, only the heart can guide the way. That sounds really interesting. So, I don't know. I think I don't know. There's just so many that sound so good. I've never heard anyone talk about these. So I have never heard of any of these authors and any of these books. And I am definitely interested in some of these more so than others. But, yeah. So, very interesting. I look forward to getting to these. All right. We have just a few more to go through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Although there's more I'll tell you about, but only 8 more books that I will read the synopsis for. Okay, so up next we have The Girl in the Garden. This is book number 1 in the Awash with Summer Roses series, written by Kestra Pingree. And this has 79 ratings with an average of 3.37. I don't see any tags on this one. So, this one says, along the trails of endless pines, I search for the truth and follow signs. How's your summer going? Mine is ruined. Hi, my name is Rye. I'm the kind of delinquent teenage girl you hear horror stories about. My parents thought they could reform my bad attitude and get me away from my troublemaking friends in the city by shipping me off to my grandparents' house in the countryside for the summer. I'm supposed to stay clear of the forbidden forest and piss away my days in my grandparents' stupid rose garden alongside a boy named Evey. Evey is 17, but he chooses to work for my grandparents because he likes roses. Well, the joke's on them. I'm getting the hell out of here, and I won't let anyone stop me, especially not some weirdo boy. So, definitely sounds like that's a girl with an attitude. And sometimes when people have attitudes like that, it really, really bugs me. Okay, this next one, I did not realize there was no synopsis on Goodreads. What I can tell you is, according to Goodreads, this has 15 ratings with an average of 3.53. So let me go ahead and pull this up on Amazon. All right, so this one is Tales from the Covenant, Book 1, and this one is titled No Sleep, and the cover is real creepy and freaky and unsettling and disturbing. This is book 1 of 2. Read at your own risk. Looks like, okay, so Tales from the Covenant. So this is a collection of short stories. The author is the Asag Covenant, or Asag, I don't know how to say it, but something Covenant, or just the Covenant. So it says, Mayumi's obsession. Mayumi Yamanashi has a deadly obsession. Who will be her next victim? So it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books, or 5 short stories in this. So that was that one. Ultimate Betrayal says, lies and adultery are only the beginning in this tale of betrayal. Okay. The pig cult has found a new victim. Will she survive? Up next is Damnation. An evil entity claiming to be Jesus Christ wants to use Elijah as a vessel. Will he refuse to save his soul or submit to damnation? Not sure. I don't know. And then the last one is No Sleep, which is also the title of the book. And this one says, serial killer Alanya Michaelhov has a seed of darkness within her that must be sated no matter what. But the demon Asag must also have his fill. And it says this is the first story in the book, so I don't know the order. Obviously, it was not told in order, but that's just really kind of a creepy and unsettling cover. I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. But it is what it is. Oh, I have stuff on this I need to tell you about, too. Okay. Relating to books. Next up is Cats and Cat Napping. I like the cover. It has a black cat all puffed up like something's made it mad or scared. Anyway, 435 ratings with an average of 4.21. This was written by Julia Cody or Cody. I don't know. First book in Miranda Michaels mystery series, and this one is a cozy mystery. Looks like it's also tagged as paranormal. Myra Michaels finally calls her old life quits. She moves out of her psychic sister's house and is on the road to her new life. Her trip to Pennsylvania starts simply, even if her cat Arnold can't stop backseat driving. She refuses to accept that she can hear his kitty voice until the radio refuses to work. Then, at a rest stop, she witnesses a catnapping of the sweet kitty that Arnold has a crush on. Myra promises to chase the catnapper across the Northeast and find the cat's owner, all before she must meet her realtor at her new house. Antics ensue. So that's all that says. It's a cozy mystery. I'm game. I'm looking forward to it. This next one is the one that I have additional information on, where I have additional books, but I can't tell you the synopsis of the other books. And you'll find out. So this one I'm going to tell you about, we're going to start here, is called Splendid Summer. This is book number 1 in the Magical Cool Cats series. This is tagged as historical fiction, also as cozy mystery, a little further on down the tags. So let's go ahead and read the synopsis and then I'll get more into this. It says, Grace Wentworth's plans for a splendid summer go awry when her guardian uncle dies and her trust fund disappears. She's been rich and she's been broke. You're right, rich was better. It's the roaring 20s, and the only thing a London fishing school taught her was that men earn money and women spend it. Detective aviator Jack Brewster doesn't want a dame's help with his investigation of Grace's uncle's guardian's death. He'll learn that the difference between Grace and a pit bull is a pit bull eventually lets go. Jack's magical white cat, Tatiana, solves mysteries without ever missing a nap. And it says it, from the official website for the book. Okay, I'll have to look into that. So the reason why this one has a little bit more information is when I got this one, it came as a bundle set. So it came as a complete volume, which has the first 4 books in this series. Now I just pulled up the rest of the series. It says there's 20 primary works in this series, so it's a bit more of a commitment, but volume 1 was free, and again it included the first 4 books in this particular series. So the first one, as I had just gone over, is Splendid Summer. Book number 2 is Emeralds, Diamonds, and Amethysts. Number 3 is Cher Ami, and number 4 is The Christmas Feral. So obviously if I like the first one, I've got the first 4 right at my fingertips, or the next 3 at my fingertips, however you want to say it. And then I can just move on to whatever else. All right, now we are on to the last 4 I will be telling you about in this particular video. So this one is April Showers Bring Dead Flowers. This was written by Krista Lockhart. This only has 2 ratings with an average of a 5 stars. So both people that rated this did this 5 stars. The title makes me think cozy mystery, but there are no tags on this. This was published May of 2022, so I'm surprised there's not more ratings, but if something's not shared a lot, then it doesn't surprise me that maybe more people have not heard of it. This is a long synopsis. I mean, it's a long synopsis, so I'm not going to read the full thing. Let's see, a powerful new cozy mystery series. Okay, so there we go. So it is a cozy mystery. Let's see. There's something growing in the garden, and it's not a flower. Greenhouse expert and horticulture professor Heather Moore gets a new lease on life when she inherits her grandparents' estate in New England. But the garden she loved as a child has seen better days. Determined to restore her grandfather's garden to its former beauty, she's accompanied by Aunt, her charming Chihuahua, and 2 of her favorite former students. But wait, what? Aunt suddenly digs up an even bigger challenge when he finds some human remains buried in an old potting shed. As she discovers clues and follows the evidence, a few suspects cross her mind, but ultimately they point to a wily and clever killer. suddenly endanger herself, can Heather solve this puzzling mystery before her family's legacy and bring about justice? Okay, so that's the full synopsis. It just has a lot more about how this is praise for this book, and it's perfect for fans of this, of chick lit, and this is a great book, and it's like, all right, tooting your own horn there a bit. Let people determine on their own. Okay. Up next, I have The Fallen Girls. This is the first book in the Detective Clara Jeffries series. This was written by Catherine Casey. This one has 1,237 ratings with an average of 4.24. This one has tags of mystery, thriller, crime, detective, for just to name a few that's on there. So the synopsis says, she didn't notice the corn stalks shiver a few feet to her right. By the time she looked up, the man towered above her. In a single movement, he wrapped one thick hand around her waist. The other he clamped over her mouth, muffling her screams. Detective Clara Jeffries has spent years running from her childhood in Albert, Utah. Oh, I'm even more intrigued. It's in Utah. Okay. But when she hears that her baby sister Delilah has disappeared, she knows that the peaceful community will be shattered, her family vulnerable, and that she must face up to her past and go home. Ha ha ha, it's in Utah. Okay. Clara returns to find that her mother, Ardith, has isolated her family by moving to the edge of town, in the shadow of the mountains. Ardith refuses to talk to the police and won't let Clara through the front door, believing she and her sister wives can protect their own. So this has to do with polygamy. All right. But Clara knows better than anyone that her mother isn't always capable of protecting her children. So I'm going to end that one there because I just don't want to give too much away. So it takes place in Utah and involves polygamy. So we will see how that goes. Okay. Up next, I did not realize until just now that this book that I'm going to tell you about is actually the third book in a series. So, and I don't see a note as to if this can be read out of order or not. Because it didn't say when I got the notification that this was the third book. So I'm a little peeved by that. I think it needs to be a bit more obvious. Anyway, this book is called The Hunt, written by Matthew Hattersley. And again, this is the third book in a series. The series is called Acid Vanilla. And this is a thriller. Now, I'm not going to read the synopsis for The Hunt. So wait, what? I put an acid. Oh, I clicked on the wrong dang book. I don't have The Hunt. I have the first book in this series. I clicked on the wrong book. It's 8 o'clock. I'm tired. Okay. All right. This is a thriller. I feel better about that. My own duh moment. Okay, so Acid Vanilla, the first book in the Acid Vanilla series, again by Matthew Hattersley. This one has 685 ratings with an average of 4.25. It says, one last kill and then cocktails on the beach. But when the world's deadliest female assassin can't hit the mark, she may be vacationing 6 feet under. Even hired killers need a break. Acid Vanilla is about to take a holiday, one through sheer sweat and blood, when her boss demands she off a notorious Paris-based hacker. But when the eccentric female target shares a startling revelation about Acid's troubled past, she can't pull the trigger. Tangled in a blossoming love-hate relationship with her spared victim and a bounty on both their heads, Acid's only chance out of the game is to disappear for good. But first she has to battle through a barrage of deadly coworkers, and this killer for hire will need every brutal trick in her lethal playbook just to stay alive. So is this female LGBT? Did it say when the eccentric female shares stuff about her, and then it's a love-hate relationship. So maybe, I don't know, could be wrong. I have been totally misled and tricked by synopsises before, so who knows? I have no idea. If you've read that book and know for sure, definitely let me know in the comments. All right, this last book I have to tell you about is called Dead Alive. This one was written by Lisa Slater. This one only has 39 ratings on Goodreads with an average of 4.51. And there's no tags, so I don't know what age range or genre this one is. It looks to be war, because it looks like there's military people, like the silhouettes that from what I can see on the cover. I don't know. It says, for Linus Doc Winehouse, the mission had begun much like any other mission for combat soldiers serving in Afghanistan. Okay, so there's your military or war. A routine search for a weapons cache. However, it would not remain so. Countless Taliban forces trapped Doc's squad in the deadliest battle they ever had experienced. Fighting alongside his brothers in combat, Doc wheels himself through the most desperate of conditions for one objective: to keep them alive. So that's a short synopsis, and that just tells me it's a war, action, adventure type of a book. Other than that, I don't know anything about that. So that is it for part 3 of my ebook haul. I'm gonna have quite a few of these. So I don't know. I love free books, and since it's free ebooks, it's like, why not? And you end up getting several a day. So freaking be it, in my opinion. It's interesting to see, and I have not kept track. Let me know if this is something that you would be interested in. What I could do, because these are free on Amazon, obviously for the anything I win on Goodreads, which there was like 1 or 2 in that grouping. But for the ones on Amazon, I can tell you what the list price, if it was originally on Kindle Unlimited, if you wanted to buy it, if it was like $9 and then it was free, and kind of tell you with all these free books, this is how much I ended up saving. I know some people are interested in that. I just kind of go, oh, that's interesting. I saved 25 books with this one free book. I saved 8 books, $3, $1, you know. So let me know if that's something that you'll be interested in. And then for the following month, as I possibly try to keep this up, I can definitely try to incorporate that as well. I don't know. We'll see. Just let me know. Let me know in the comment section below if you've read any of these books, if you've read from any of these authors before, and your thoughts on all of those. And yeah, just talk to me in the comment section. So until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I'll talk to you later.